All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 2. I think, I can't remember if I mentioned this in the first episode, but I think we landed on an official name for the podcast, which we're kind of returning to an old name, which is TEKLAB. So before we even started doing this, and I put up that first episode, I did a little searching to see if anybody had snatched that name up again, because I think we got a couple comments on it, but if you weren't around, there was this little like Ranbat thing that I did. I live in the Midwest, as well as, everybody like close crew, Tekken crew and stuff like that. But we did like a little online Ranbat tournament, whatever you want to call it, on PS4 for Tekken 7. And that was the name that we used, was TEKLAB. So wasn't using it for anything else, and I still had all the logos and stuff for it, and I still love the name. So I think that's what we're going to go with for this podcast. So we did all the introduction stuff last time in episode 1. But as always, I will introduce myself again. I am Zhang. I the namesake for the channel. But my partner in crime here, Mr. Danimal, the Danimal, Mr. Prinny Juice. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Although I guess we were just talking about this, but I should note for everybody who's listening, we might sound a little coarse today. It's not even flu season. It's like this respiratory crap that's going around for everybody. And I am pretty sure that I picked up RSV from my child who goes to daycare, and they had RSV rip through there. So I've been sick for like 3 weeks now and still have this cough thing going on, and Dan does as well. So if you hear a little bit of that, just bear with us. It's the winter, people getting sick, and it is what it is. We got it.
Took the whole week off to be with my kid, and both he and I are just sitting here healing.
Yeah. Well, I wish that I could have done that, because I've been, obviously I've been sick, but yesterday was a great day because we had this old house that we've been sitting on forever. We had family that was renting it. When we moved, we really wanted to sell it, but I had some close family that they needed a place, and their plan was to eventually buy it, but that took a lot longer than expected, and we finally closed on the house yesterday. But prior to that, pretty much my entire vacation week, I've had to bust my ass to like move a bunch of shit out of the house and whatnot real quick, and I just beat the hell out of my body.
Nice.
So I have not really, this is pretty much yesterday was pretty much the first day that I got a little bit of me time to just kind of sit and not worry about anything. But even then, the beginning of yesterday was super packed because we had to take care of like the last little bit of the closing stuff, pick up paperwork,
Yep.
And all that crap. But at least last night was really good because my wife and we went out to dinner to a place that we really like. And then when we came back, I just sat on my ass and played video games for a few hours.
Heyo.
And then no kids today, so slept in as much as I could.
Probably played games too.
She did, yes, yeah. So she laid down on the bed, and she's a Switch gal, so she has her games on the Switch, and she just laid down and turned on the TV for some background noise, and basically did the same thing I did, but just on the Switch. So, but yeah, otherwise, it's been Christmas time and whatnot. I hope everybody has had a happy holidays, whatever you end up doing. We are fortunate that we are sliding this right in before the new year. So we're getting something done in December, which I'll apologize to everybody. I know I put a little warning on the last episode, but with the holidays and everything going on, and this house thing that I just mentioned, my time was very short. So I haven't done anything. I haven't put up any videos, and
Join me, fans, and boo this man.
Yeah. Well, and there also hasn't been a lot of motivation as well, because we're in that weird that weird waiting period where Tekken 7 is dying down or dead, depending on how you look at it. And then we're just a month away from Tekken 8. So everybody, is focused on that. So, and I guess I'll use that as a good segue into kind of our first topic here. Because we're going to be a lot more detailed than we were in the first episode, because that was all introduction stuff. Now we can start getting into the nitty gritty. But since the last episode, they released, they did that secret press thing or whatever, where a bunch of people got invited to play the game early, and they were able to take video of the characters' move lists. So we now have like all the character move lists up on YouTube. But then they also, the other big thing was that they released the demo, right? So I guess the main takeaway from both of those things, especially for anyone out there who's played the demo, is that it is clear that Namco is still changing things. So they are still making balance changes. It would seem up until the last minute before this game releases, which makes it hard to produce content, because unless you're just one of these people that get this secret access, which I am not, it's hard to put up a video to because I'm not a reaction video person. I will never do those. At least not like just the
oh my god,
ones.
let's see the outfits.
Yeah, I really, if I'm gonna dive into something, we're really gonna, or react to something, I'm really gonna dive in and look at details and stuff. But yeah, so it's hard to make Tekken 8 content right now, because you have no idea what's gonna change right in the next month. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna make a video that's gonna be outdated in 2 weeks.
You know what? I'm with you about the whole reaction thing, and I just picked on the costume people. But you know how they always did that Jim Ross voiceover? I would love to see somebody reacting to these outfits with the, what's her name, Joan Rivers.
Oh,
do her. Oh, and you could tell this is blah blah blah. I would love one of those reaction videos for that.
Well, there you go. You can, there's your niche. You can start doing that.
I'm just bringing in the flavor.
Yeah, that'd be funny. But I mean, it's hard to make content unless you're going to do something goofy like that, right? Because I'm kind of done with the Tekken 7 content. It seems kind of worthless to make Tekken 7 content at this point, at least guide content. And then it's hard to make Tekken 7 stuff because, I don't want to put a video out there that says one thing and then they change it before the game is even out. So we're just kind of,
it's out 8 years, What are you gonna make?
Yeah, exactly. So we're kind of in just that weird period where there's probably not going to be a lot of content other than these podcast episodes until the game releases, and then we'll really start to get into it. But that said, that's like I said, this is going to be a segue, so we can segue into the stuff that has happened since we did the last episode. So I would kind of leave it up to you, Dan. There's so much to talk about with these two things. So do you want to start with the demo first, or do you want to talk about just the move lists and stuff that we've been seeing? Which one do you want to tackle first?
Sorry, I had to die quick.
Yeah.
You said the demo or what?
The demo or the all the move lists and stuff that people put out for the characters that we haven't gotten to play yet. Because all that stuff is from that.
The demo is probably a little more exciting. So if you want to start with the move lists,
okay.
Granted, you could go on and on about each character's individual move list, but on the whole, it looks like a lot of characters got the things that they've always wanted. Mm-hmm. Things like, right from the bat, I had mentioned that Nina got some strings taken away, but she got these new strings that replaced them. It's like they took all of her old core strings and they made them safer. So it's kind of like that's what they did with a lot of these characters. And then they got rid of some of the BS. I remember I watched the Kuma Panda video. They no longer have that 4-hit counter hit launch or down forward 1-2-1-2. Now they have a hit confirmable down forward 1-2 both punches. It does less damage, but it's still juicy.
Well, and this is
Yeah.
this is kind of what I wanted to talk about a little bit, because I know that you've been watching a lot of videos and playing a lot of the demo. So you have noticed a lot of these little things more so than I have. My
I'm
focus,
going crazy.
my focus, weirdly enough, has been Shaheen, and we'll return to this because we had that big discussion last time about who are you going to start with, and it's such a weird question for me right now, because we look at the move lists and it seems obvious that, and I said this before, but I don't think you even need to look at the move list to know that Reina and Victor and whatever other new character stuff that they put in is going to be broken, right? It's just how it works. Like, you make a game, you have this new main character or these new DLC type characters, and they just break them. It's just what they do. Like, we're never going to get a balanced DLC like character or brand new character. It's just not going to happen. So those two characters are going to be busted. And sure enough, the move lists look crazy for both of those characters. Deviljin, I think, has been a little surprising. Like, the stuff in his move list seems a little underwhelming. I don't know if you've seen any like super juice or anything from that, but
Yeah, he's busted too.
is he busted? Okay.
Have you seen his chain?
Like the chain throw? You mean like
Yeah,
or like the,
he throws his chain at them, and it's a mid-screen attack.
no, I guess maybe
So
I
he
missed it.
stands. Yeah, he stands maybe 2 characters away, and he throws his chains at them. And then if it hits, he gets guaranteed follow-ups. On block, though, it's still like plus 11, and you can't beat the follow-ups. So this is just ridiculous.
Is this a heat move or what is this?
No, this is a regular move.
Is it
I
like
don't know
his
the
version
notation.
is it like his version of a laser, except it's mid, or a fireball, I should say, where you like
Think of it
step
as
at
fast
range?
as I mean, it's got to be like 14 frames, 15 frames.
Huh.
That's how fast it is, and it's from mid-range, and he just throws his chain. It's probably slower than that even. And maybe I just can't recognize it from the videos, but yeah, no, Deviljin looks stupid, and his hell sweep goes through on block, so you have to sit there and decide whether or not he's going to do the both punches part, but it doesn't knock down anymore under any circumstance unless you do the follow-up. So he kind of has to do the follow-up. He has a new down forward 1-2, which is mid-high, but now it's natural hit combo and knocks down, so he now has a 13 frame knockdown. So
Fun. Okay.
he looks dumb.
All right. Okay. Well, I guess so. The Mishimas, right? That's the theme. Mishimas can't be bad. I guess.
Well, everyone was complaining, including the main man, of course, who started it, about Kazuya. But the more that people find out about Kazuya, it's just like, shut up.
Dude, Kazuya is Kazuya. He's gonna have the classic Mishima style, and that is always going to be strong. And it's just that's how it is. That's how it is. You just have to. The electric or the classic Hell Sweep would have to take considerable nerfs for him to even be mid tier. So,
Well, they did change some stuff where people like have an arguable case, like his down back 2 doesn't knock down anymore, and that was his primary mid, and he doesn't have the down forward 1-2 into the knockdown anymore. But what they've given him is now like his down back 1-2 is a 13 frame knockdown punisher,
right.
but it's also a heat engager, and because of how low it hits to the ground, it's the same as the last 2 hits of that busted string that he used to have. Well, he still has it. It's just nerfed. Those 2 hits combo off the ground. So if you do forward 4 on counter hit and they're face down on the ground, you do that move, and if you were in heat, you just heat dash. You suddenly have a launcher off of forward 4. So just because like something looks nerfed, you need to keep playing around because there's some details that might not be immediately noticeable.
Which is a trend that I've seen with a lot of people with almost every character, right? Like, I know there were some people talking about Fergus complaining about Asuka, but it's like you're looking at what was strong the last game. Like you need to start, well, like you said, you need to start looking at other things and experimenting because they changed the game. Just because your old moves aren't exactly as busted as they were in the last game does not mean that you didn't get some sort of compensation in other ways. So I think that's going to be the big learning curve, I think, for most people. And it's clear even for pros that are having this problem too, where you're looking at it like it's Tekken 7. It's not Tekken 7. It's Tekken 8. It's a brand new system. Yes, there's a lot of overlap from, Tekken 7 and just the legacy Tekken stuff, but there's a lot of brand new stuff. And the heat system changes the way that you have to use a lot of moves, but that doesn't mean that they're bad. And given the way that like damage is and can be in this game, initially I was like, okay, well you have this meter, but once you use it, you want to make sure that you optimize the amount, how you use it and blah, blah, blah. But I'm starting to think that that doesn't matter. Like, there is so much powerful stuff within the heat system, and once you start using your meter, that if you hit with any of it, the round's over. So, like, yeah, it's just a completely different thing, and I think it's going to take a little bit for people to acclimate to this idea that, well, that character is still really strong. They're just not strong in the way that you're used to. But
and I'm glad, thanks you for letting me have that little tirade there, but
yeah,
that's basically the problem right now is people want that same system, that same game, and we're lucky we have the very first new game. Like, this whole system has changed. Your entire Tekken has changed.
Yeah. And we've talked about it before, right? Like, the running has changed, the way that you get up off the ground has changed. I think you were messing around with sidesteps a little bit, but yeah, a lot of people right off the bat noticed how sidesteps were better overall. I know that there's going to be some exceptions with the big characters, but the way that you step is going to be different. And yeah, the combo system is different because you have all this versatility and options with the heat system. So jumping is different. Like, just there's so much that's that's different. Like, yeah, it's going to be a lot to learn and to figure out. So,
and they learned from those 8 years of Tekken 7. Like, they saw what styles were the most popular. They're not going to leave you to the wolves. Mm-hmm. They're going to give you some tools. It's just, like you mentioned, I think that they're going to take some of these new characters because they want to inject freshness into tournament finals and stuff like that, give people some new things to see. They might make Reina and Victor extra strong. Seems apparent.
Yeah. I would fully expect that those characters are going to be crazy, and then they'll get the nerfs after they've won a bunch of tournaments in 6 months. They'll get nerfs, but unless they're just like Leroy, like oppressive, and then maybe we'll see some nerfs after a month. But
it's funny that you brought up them too, because I just this morning watched a video of Victor. It was a Victor Reina fight because I was looking for details on Reina. I had, right off the bat, one of the first things in that trailer when he came out was he kicked him in the foot and then he shot him with the gun. And we learned that that's a counter hit thing from watching all these videos. Mm-hmm. But I just noticed he has another one. It's a full crouch sweep where if it hits, he gets to shoot him or something. He looks so crazy.
That's one thing that talking about like getting used to stuff. That's another thing that is going to throw a lot of people off when this game releases. There are so many new weapon attacks from characters and projectiles and just unparryable stuff that it's going to be really goofy because like anyone who are some really parry heavy characters.
Leroy?
Well, Leroy I think is going to be generally okay because he has one of those like I'll just parry everything kind of deals. But like if you look at Azucena, I think it might have been you that posted up that video where it was showing like stuff that she can dodge and stuff that she can't. So like that, that is, it's not like Leroy's. Like there are some things where it kind of follows the normal parry rules. Yeah, it just doesn't look like it because it's an auto parry. But yeah, like getting used to that. I think things like, who else are some ones that have unique parries? Jin is probably going to be okay, but you figure the Pauls and Devil Jins and Asukas of the world,
reversals.
Yeah, those are gonna. I think just by nature of having all these new unparryable moves that they kind of just take a default nerf with their reversals.
I think you were thinking of Asuka. That's who you were looking for.
Why? Who did I say?
Oh no, you mentioned you were trying to think of like a good character who kind of tries to reversal out and everything,
right,
and I think Asuka is that template because she'll just sit out there with that.
Right.
And I think they even shortened that too.
Yeah. I know that she still gets a bunch of bullshit though if she lands it like near a wall and all that stuff. So
yeah.
So that's still there, but yeah, it just kind of goes back to what we talked about. Like there's so much new stuff there. It's going to be like crazy, and there's a lot of powerful, you can just tell there's a lot of powerful stuff in this game that people are just ignoring because they're focusing on, like you said, that old style. Like they're looking at the moves that were strong or would fit that old style, and like you have to change the way that you think about this game.
I actually predict there's going to be a couple community revolts again because we haven't had to deal with such a drastic change since, the tag to T4 and then the T4 to T5. Right. And pretty much we've been playing Tekken 5 for the entire time. They just add different combo extenders. Right.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it's been. They've just been messing with those combo extenders. And then I assume that in Tekken 7 they added the rage drives as kind of a test to see like, okay, if we just made this a new system, what would it look like? So I have a feeling that when they added the rage drives, they were already kind of thinking about a heat system. And that was
the one-off move.
Yeah, that was the early version of it. And then they just compared it to characters like, Akuma, who doesn't have a rage drive, but he has a meter, right? So, and just kind of comparing those two things and seeing what would happen if you mixed those. Which will be really...
I think we can even expect them to do like an update, like they did that after season 1 or season 2? It was season 2, right? They made that change with the range drives?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I don't remember.
I'm going to guess season 2.
Okay.
I bet they're going to do another thing, like they've already got it planned up. Maybe we have the heat moves, but maybe now you're going to have like the once a match move.
Right.
The one-timer, I don't know.
Which is totally possible because right now you figure since they moved all that stuff to your meter, rage is now just a thing where you either use your super or you can just get the damage buff for it, right? So it's less use now of your rage, going back to how it was when Tekken 7 released. But with you bringing that up, I'm curious too if maybe whatever they end up doing, like you suggest, is will be related to whatever guest characters we get. Because I know people are talking about Shaheen. There's that new, because he has that new charge move. Maybe I know we have one person in particular in our group who was like, "Ooh, I hope it's Guile." And it was like, well, maybe, who knows? But we're probably going to get some sort of Street Fighter character. So maybe when they do cool. that, they introduce whatever mystery mechanic you're thinking about to kind of deal with stuff like that, right? Because like how would you deal with a boom? How would you deal with a flash kick? And they're like, well, here's a brand new thing that helps you deal with that. So,
right.
So yeah, you never know. It'll be interesting because I think that's, for me, in terms of long term, that's the big question mark, is like, what guest character are we going to get, and what kind of garbage 2D crap are we going to have to deal with? And what are the tools that we have? Are they going to be enough to deal with that garbage? So
I'm not worried about, like, everybody was I know that people did not like Akuma and all that because of how much damage he did. I'm less worried about that now because of the scaling. Scaling is so much improved.
Which I'm sure
You
is
can't even
probably
do the
why.
Brian Taunt thing, which is why they're so complainy.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure that's why they changed it, right? Is that they're preparing for probably another Akuma, like, you know, a Shoto character. So yeah, that I agree. I think that the scaling, I think that they did a lot of good stuff with that, so that it still feel, even though there's a lot of extra crap that you can throw into your combos, it doesn't. It still feels like you're doing Tekken 7 damage, like percentage wise relative to the life bar.
Maybe even a little less. I love it.
Yeah, and it's really.
I know that you can get extreme combos, but it
Well,
requires more.
we've had this discussion a couple times, right? Where like I am still of the opinion, and I would have to see some really bonker stuff to change this opinion, where if you burn your heat in a combo like a regular juggle, you're wasting it. Like you're not getting that unless it's going to kill your opponent. You're getting such a small, because of the scaling you were talking about, you're getting such a small boost from your regular combo that it's at best what you would probably want to do is just activate your heat and then use that for Oki, so that you can, once your combo's done, then you can go into your heat garbage on Oki. But we saw this with the CNT and with the CBT, especially good players, like, oh, I'm going to just do a heat dash every time. Like every time I get a launch, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to get an extra 5 damage and waste all my heat.
Right.
So I think that that's going to change real early. People are going to figure that out. But yeah, that was all I had.
I think that that's going to end up being something that we'll probably also cover when we do character by character breakdowns and everything too, because I do think there's a couple characters where it can be okay too.
Oh, to do the heat dash, you mean? And
yeah, even the smash into the dash, because I know that that's pretty much the thing most people universally agree. Now that they've nerfed it, it's less worth it doing.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a couple characters who do have bonus things, like, I don't know if I'm spoiler alerting, because who knows if it'll change.
Well,
like,
you put the spoiler out there.
We mentioned
so.
Kazuya.
Yeah,
we put Kazuya out there, right? Mm-hmm. So he can actually do 4 electrics and then do his down forward 1, down forward 2. And then he can do, some kind of, we'll say, a hit into a heat smash, right? And then he can end up doing a move like his, forward 2, so that it does the heat dash afterwards and they slide on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Most characters only get 1 hit, so people are taking like their biggest chunk hit and everything. But Kazuya actually has one of these double hit moves that hits so fast that it hits, well, in this case, 3 times at the end of his combo. So it's still worth doing for him, and it also sends him even farther towards the wall. His down back 1-2.
Right.
So some characters will have character specific things that are still okay to do there.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. We'd have to see it, we'd have to have some iterations, right? We have to see it work a few times.
We're all sitting back and waiting to see what's possible.
Yeah. Well, and I know I've kind of beating a dead horse at this point with this, but like with Leroy, when the CBT happened, what I was figuring would happen is that, just based on all these nerfs to his neutral offense, he has that buff when he's in heat where he all of his rapid punch strings do extra chip damage. And my thinking was like, well, for him, what you'll probably do is just activate like right away, like right when the match starts, and then you'll just spam the safe rapid punches and just get this big, huge white bar lead. And then, your nerfs won't matter as much because you've pretty much eaten half a bar at that point. But they ended up nerfing the way that works, because in the CNT, when he did a rapid punch string, when his meter was active, it didn't use meter. In fact, it acted just like a normal hit, so it would actually freeze the meter. So he could kill your entire white bar life and only use like a quarter of his meter. They changed that in the CBT, so now every time you use a rapid punch string, it uses meter just like any special heat move, right? So like every time you use it, it eats up like a fourth of your bar. But the problem with a character like him is that was the nerf. That nerf was too big of a swing in the other direction because now that strategy is just dead. Like it doesn't. You barely do any chip damage before your meter's gone, and on top of that, things that are automatic will, or that you would always do, even if it's not technically automatic, you just would never not do it, will now eat up your bar if it's active. So like, for instance, if you parry, the string afterwards, like the follow-up, the built-in follow-up punches, those are considered, for the purposes of chip damage and heat, part of one of those special strings that does more white bar damage. But if you don't want to do it, like if you don't want to burn your meter for that, you either don't use your parry, or if you parry something, you don't do the follow-up, which is awful, right? Like you never don't want to take that free damage. So he's just kind of in it. So now they've swung the bar back too much for him. But I can foresee like unless they, change it back for him, I can foresee characters having stuff like that where they're not waiting for a juggle, or they don't need to do a heat engager. Like they want to burn it right away because the stuff that they can do out of it will give them such a huge lead early on that it's worth it just to activate and, have 75% of your meter instead of the full 100. So I can very, very well see examples of that popping up. Or like, I guess we can jump into this conversation now, but I was going to talk a bit about Shaheen at some point, and he has that new up forward one or whatever that if you hit it, it gives you back meter, right? So for him, maybe it is a good idea. I can't think off the top of my head if there are other characters that get meter back like that. Other than Leroy, I guess he can get them back if he successfully parries. But
grabs for king.
Grabs for king. But yeah, like maybe it's a good thing for those characters as well to just activate right away and then use those moves to dial up the pressure. And if you hit one, no problem. You just got, 10, 15, 20 seconds back of your meter. So losing or not getting a full bar right away is not a problem because you'll just get it back. So yeah, I think that there are going to be examples of like these, I don't want to call them weird, but like different characters having different focuses for their meter. Right. And
that's my favorite thing about the game.
And they're going to want to burn it at different times. So yeah, I think it's really cool too. Because it adds like that unique element for each character. Like even though you have this same meter, you're going to use it completely differently between characters X and Y. So anyway,
and even if you have like more, no, you're good. That's actually the only thing that I would talk about with the characters, is because so many people are freaking out about such and such not being as good, but things have changed. And look at that. That's a good example. He's got a brand new move. He has a brand new strategy. They gave fresh air to somebody. I would just add on that is it even breathes new life into the I don't want to say they're palette swaps because Namco's done a lot better about that. But if you have two characters of a similar style, like Mishima's or Lee and Law, right? They're all obviously different characters, but now like Mishima's, each one will have a different heat possibility. So it's not just picking, whichever Mishima's the best for the fight. Now they've kind of given new strategies to each one too.
Well, and it's funny too that you mentioned like the Lee Law, like the slide characters, because I haven't looked too much at Lee, but
Oh my god, he's so crazy.
it's funny to me that all these characters, once upon a time, if you had a slide, it all worked the same. Like the slide was the same. If you had it, it was going to work just like a slide always works. But they've like added that, like you said, that unique element where like Shaheen's is a bit more straightforward because afterwards he automatically goes to his sneak stance, and you just get a free sneak too. Like there's really not a whole lot of mix up to it, but they changed his a little bit where we've been talking about this where how it seems like you can buffer it like out of sneak or whatever. Whereas, Law doesn't, like he can't buffer his slide. However, his slide is now just a transition from, I mean, he can do it normally, but it's a transition from his DSS. So it's like they have the same move, but they're using it differently. I don't know how, like I said, I haven't looked at Lee's, so I don't know what his does, if it's more of the classic one or what, but
So
I like
in
I like those little
in
changes.
that slide comparison, I don't remember where I saw it either. The Lee slide, he has a just frame version now.
Oh, see, so I guess that's his take on it, right? Is like it's a just frame.
Yeah, and his is kind of like Law's in that it doesn't knock down, but Law goes through them, and Lee stops right in front of them with like frame advantage. But if you get the just frame, it knocks them down.
Oh. Do we know what the just frame is? Like, is it speed or?
I'm sure it's just do it as fast as possible. But
gotcha. Huh. That's cool. I need to go look at him. He's one of the characters that I haven't really.
He's got one of the cooler attributes to heat also because he gets heat back every time he does a just frame.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is, yeah, that's putting pressure on you to be execution strong right there.
Yeah, no doubt. That is really going to benefit particular players that are very, very consistent with the Lee just frames. Because there are a couple out there that, you're never going to see them miss or drop acid rain. They're never going to miss a back to cancel or whatever. So that's funny. That's cool.
And on that note, I mean, you can look at Lee and you might be underwhelmed with some of his moves, but on the whole same vibe of every character getting exactly what they needed. So look, they buffed his slide. One of his biggest things is he's this really strong spacing character, but he's not really the guy that's going to make you duck. He's mostly chipping at you. But like his heat smash is a low.
Oh.
And so they gave him a threat right out of that.
Oh, nice.
It looks just like his old down back 3 also.
Oh, okay. So he doesn't have down back 3 anymore. It's just that.
No, he has down back 3, but then he has this down back 3 version. It's kind of like how Paul gets a new demo man, but he still has demo man.
Oh, right. Because the heat smash is the special demo man. Right. Okay. That makes sense. Interesting. Damn it. I just had a thought and I lost that I was going to add to that and I lost it. No, you're fine. It happens. Everybody has those moments where you're like, ooh, I want to say this, but we need to wrap up this other conversation first, and then I'll say it, and then you're like, shit, I forgot it. But yeah, I
lots of people new just frames too. And
I remember what I was going to say. You mentioned, we kind of a theme so far in this episode is like talking about how the things that that people are expecting to be strong might not look strong because there's other strong things. One thing that, and I completely leave the door open for this possibility, is that I've kind of been shitting on Leroy because of the changes that they've made, and that's still going to be my stance for now. But one thing that I've kind of, one caveat that I've been making when I do those videos or talk about it is that his big weakness right now seems to be offense. Like when he's attacking, it's hard to break defenses because his lows are just garbage. But because of the just general changes that they've made to Tekken 8, It's still early, so we'll have to see kind of once things calm down and people get comfortable with the system. But the whole point, and Harada and all them have said this, is that they want to make a more aggressive game. They want people to hit buttons, and during the CNT and CBT and all that, people are hitting buttons like that's what they're doing.
Right.
And right now, it's hard to tell if will things chill out and people will learn how to defend against stuff? Or is it just going to be really that hyper aggressive the whole time? And the one thing that I've said about Leroy is that his defense is still really strong, like his counter hit game, his parries. So if your opponent is hitting lots of buttons and coming at you, he can mess you up really bad still. Yeah. So that's kind of been his MO. So and
I think he's got good chips still.
Yeah. So if the meta of the game in general changes to the point where people are so aggressive, even at a high level, that he is still getting plenty of those opportunities, then he might not be as bad as I think he is. Just because he's going to get so many counter hit opportunities that, he's right there. And especially with that parry and stuff, everyone's going to be wanting to hit buttons and use their powerful moves. But if you can't, because he's just going to mess you up for it, that might change the dynamic and how good he is. But
I think for him, people mix up their offense. I think for him, he's got to mix up his defense, because defense for him is offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the one thing that I've kind of been keeping as maybe this is how it'll turn out. So we just kind of have to see how aggressive players end up being. And also, if you're somebody who's just learning, maybe you're at the lower ranks or even that middle intermediate level, people are not going to play such strong defense, or they're not going to turtle so hard that they're not, those buttons aren't going to happen. So I'm sure he will still be really strong in that area. The question mark that I have until I see it change is, if you're playing against a knee or somebody like that who's just extremely patient and they're playing really compact, is Leroy going to be able to break that? And right now I don't see anything that he can use to do that, but maybe the knees of the world won't play Tekken 8 that way. Maybe they'll be really aggressive and trying to get that white bar and all that. So, it'll be really fun.
Even have all the moves.
Yeah, and it'll be really fun just to see how people develop that meta, and even in Tekken 7, I think all fighting games have this now because there's seasons and they do big balance changes and everything. But just seeing how the meta changes over several years will be interesting. So, but anyway, rant over on that. So
all good.
Did you have anything else?
What was your other topic?
We mostly have just been kind of combining it, but so we started with just the move lists and stuff, because that's all we have from the people that got that special access. And then the only other thing that I had on my list was just talking about the demo. Obviously, the crackers out there, they got to it real early. Within a day or two, they had cracked the demo. And we got some early access to Shaheen, Panda, and Steve, right? But something that was interesting is... wait. Oh, yeah, somebody just did it. Well, I feel like that one, yes, it's a crack, but it's a little... it's a little different. With the one that they did, that they, the hackers or whatever the hell you want to call them, that they did right when the demo dropped, that was just a simple file update, and then you could go to practice mode and play the characters. I think the Devilgen one is a little bit more involved, because it move swap, you don't pick him, you have to update a bunch of files and stuff, and then you have to pick a different character that the cracked files have moved his move list onto this other character. It's a little bit more involved. So you're not actually playing Devilgen. You're just kind of playing a create a character that has his moves. I obviously haven't played it yet, but it just looks like a lot of work for I don't know, very little benefit. But we still got people have this access, and we've been able to see, I was talking about Shaheen, and I guess we can get into this, but like just kind of what Shaheen looks like, and the version of Panda that's in the demo, is obviously different from that Kuma reveal that we got. So they seem to be similar characters, but they'll have like their own unique twists on certain moves, specifically their heat stuff. But then we also got that early look we are getting that early look at Steve. He seems like he's going to be insanely stupid because he's Steve, and for some reason they just can't balance this character. But yeah, so I think that there's a lot to talk about in there, and I know people have been having a lot of fun with the ghost battles. I actually have not been doing the ghost battles at all. I've just been kind of derping with the other characters, but yeah. So I don't know if you have a good place that you want to start. I know that you have thoughts on the bears seem to do insane damage. Like they do crazy damage.
Oh yeah.
Steve is, just as stupid, back one the character, but
Still fast, still strong. But I would say that they kind of nerfed his lows a little bit, but they offset that by giving him, guard crack.
yeah. Well, which is something
but
too
like
that I guess we can mention it, but they so that new stance that he has, in Tekken set, and this, I guess this goes back to what we were talking about earlier, where the extended duck, that used to be the guard break. So extended duck 2 would give you the guard break, and then you'd do your follow up, where now it's the new stance. So extended duck 2 does not do, or sorry, it's not 2, it's extended duck forward 2.
It still does it.
I don't think it does a full guard break. I think it gives you plus frames, but it's not, you don't get a free follow up on block.
Okay, so not a guard break, but you do get the free hit still. It's kind of even the same.
Well, if it hits, you get it's just a combo, right? I think it's just.
Well, now he even gets a while standing 2-2, which is even juicier because it does more damage and it puts him into that new Lionheart stance.
Well, are you talking about? Well, you're not talking about extended duck forward 2, though. I don't think that guard breaks at all anymore. It's just like
I think I've seen a couple of videos of it where they were demonstrating that they got it.
Oh, yeah, I guess you'd have to show me, because from what I was seeing, it's just like a +2 +3. It's not. There's no guard break. The guard break is now that new move in the dance stance.
Mm-hmm. That one's super good too because, geez, free hits. I think it's a tracking move.
Yeah, and just like the extended duck crap is, if you duck it, you're gonna die. So,
right.
So he still has that mix up. It's just a different stance.
And even though his down back 3-2 got nerfed because it doesn't knock down and give him that free hit anymore, your guard or your damage can go really quickly because down back 3-2 and you're still standing, but now he's in that stance and then he can do his guard crack. So you have to make a decision pretty quick.
Right. Yeah, it's just pressure. So knockdowns knockdowns are good for every character, but Steve, I think in particular, benefits a lot from just being in your face standing. So yeah, I don't see that as like a huge nerf. Like, sure, it doesn't knock you down, and I guess at the wall you don't get that stupid knockdown combo that you used to get in Tekken 7, but you don't really want to be.
Kids are losing their minds.
Yeah, you don't want to get hit by that at the wall and him being in your face in that new stance. Like, that's not fun. That's not going to be fun. So yeah, just another one of those things where, like you said, people are going to complain about this stuff that they're used to, but look at the new stuff, man. Like, that new stuff is so strong. So
right.
But yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to talk about those characters. I have kind of an extended conversation we can have about Shaheen, just because he's the one I'm looking at most closely. But if there was, I know that you've been, looking at stuff for Bears and Steve and all these other characters. So if there's any tidbits or anything you want to tell us,
It's just more of the same. It's people are upset about certain things being taken away, and Like Bear's Hell Sweep doesn't knock down anymore, and we saw that in the trailer also. But it's like +6, and now he's in Hunting Bear right in front of you, and they made his Hunting Bear so much safer. And now he has guard breaks also in there. Steve, his new stance, I mean, it's a very simple stance. So for Steve, that's really good because there's a lot of times where his neutral is all about timing and stuff like that. And now when he's in this stance, he's got safe mid, launcher mid, and a homing guard break. So it's a really simple mix-up. So it's really nice for him in that regard. And I think a lot of the moves that go into it help his combo damage is what it looks like. I don't know why they thought they needed to give Steve combo filler.
Right. Yeah.
And I could be wrong about the guard break on your duck forward too, but I know that he's got lots of other things like what the down forward 2 on normal hit or something like that gives it. Well, on counter hit it still gives the combo, and I think he even gets a better one. And then there's he has a couple moves that give like a free Sonic Fang, which is a heat engager now, or some other options. He's loaded.
Right, it certainly looks that way. Like, I don't look at his moveset and be like, oh yeah, he's not Steve anymore. Like, no, he very clearly is. So,
and then Shaheen, I love him. I love him so much because people, bashed him. He's so vanilla and all of that. And they gave him that up forward one, and he could cancel it into just, like he's getting in your face, which is great for him because he's such a strong spacing character that now he has this really easy way to get in on you, and it does guard damage. So you really now suddenly you want to keep Shaheen out. You don't want to just keep running away from him, which was pretty easy to do before because he didn't exactly have the world's scariest lows. I mean, he has his slide, but you can try to get away from that too.
Right. Well, and now too, speaking of lows, they gave him that new sidestep 2, which looks really cool. Well, and I guess you've been talking about this in the past, but like every character, it seems kind of has like that stature kick like move. Now I don't think like stature kick is like a very specific kind of like a neutral pressure tool, but like that plus frame low, he kind of already had it because down 4 was I think it's +1 or
so
something
cool.
like that. Yeah. Down 3 now because they changed the way that his sneak cancels work. Well, not the way, but they changed like the frames on a lot of that. Down 3 into sneak gives you an uninterruptible sneak 1. So like that's a change because I don't think that's how that was in Tekken 7. It was just like barely.
They're giving a lot of
too slow.
safer lows.
Yeah. What else? He had another one other than slide. I'm trying to think of. But that new sidestep 2 is I think it's just 0 on block, but it does a healthy chunk of damage and it's a high crush. And then
It's 0 on block. Holy crap!
Or not block, sorry, 0 on hit. And then on counter hit it gives that toe stun. There was another.
So free mix up right there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and the other change I was going to mention too, and I don't know if we mentioned this last episode or not, but Azu, he has like that same Azu string with down back 3-4. I had to boot up Tekken 7 and double check, but I'm fairly certain that if his down back 3 hit in Tekken 7, you could still duck the high. And that's not the case in Tekken 8. So it's just like Azu's string where it's a counter hit launcher, -13 for that second hit. But if that first one connects, they're forced to block the high at least, so you're not dying.
And lots of people are getting that. So now Shaheen, Azu, Hwarang, but then Fergus was complaining about Asuka and Can-Cans. You still can't duck at all, and it's safe.
Right. Yeah, Can-Cans are so stupid.
I respect him. He plays the character, but he's quick to bitch about that shit.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of top level players are like that, where they're obviously very good, but they can. There's like this theme where high level players like poop on low level players about certain things, and one of the comments that you see a lot is like, well, you just got to deal with this. You got to get good. You got to get better. But they're also the ones that are the quickest to bitch about shit. So it's like everybody
Give me all
it.
the stuff.
Yeah.
And treat me like my character's underrated.
It doesn't matter what your skill level is. Everyone bitches. Everyone bitches about games. It's just the way it is. Video games just bring that out in people. So that's never going to change. But the big thing that I like about Shaheen is that, and you know, we had this conversation last episode, but from the characters I've seen so far, unless there's something that really, really pushes me away, probably Reina or Victor is going to be the starting character because they're just going to be so powerful. So I'm guessing Reina, but Victor looks so cool. It's like, how can you not play him? But, so one of those two characters is probably going to be the starting one, but Shaheen still has that simple style, but he's like fresh. You said, yeah, but he's like, they just sprinkled a little bit of like that cool, unique stuff. Cause, I guess, we didn't really talk about this too. We mentioned it in passing earlier in this episode, but, that charge move. So, it's okay without meter, but when he's in heat, it's a true guard break, and he gets a free forward back 2 after it, which is like 40-50 damage. So he basically gets a mini combo, on block if that hits. And there are so many ways to sneak that in, but with the up forward 1, you were talking about it, it's just an easy tool to use.
Get in.
And he gets in, and if he lands it when he's burning his meter, he'll get meter back. So he has like this really easy pressure tool that if he happens to land the move will just extend the heat pressure. And then while you're trying to deal with that, you also have to worry about this guard break that's happening.
And crouch mix-ups.
And crouch mix-ups, which, by the way, out of all of those, it's very easy to buffer a charge for that guard break. So, like, you're dealing with all this other crap that for him is pretty straightforward and pretty simple. And then at any time, he can throw out this guard break and, eat a third of your life bar. So he seems cool.
And then he's so good at spacing. When his heat's gone, he can play keep away.
Yeah, he's so good at spacing. His basic poke game is still like really strong in there because he has, the down forward 1, down 2, the 2-1. Like all this stuff is the same as it was from Tekken 7. Although they did make a change with his Power Crush, right? His Power Crush is way better because they changed the input to back 3+4. So it's way more usable now. And it was good before. So
yep. And here's a character that we're sitting here gushing about, but did he receive nerfs too? Absolutely. His back 1 isn't a counter hit launcher anymore.
Yep. His back 1 is gone. Trying to think, there was one other.
That was a strong move.
Yeah. Didn't they change back 4? Right, back 4 is more unsafe. Still very strong because it's a like an essential Oki tool, but
yep.
You can get way more killed for that if it's blocked. So that's another one. I know there's some other stuff that I'm just blanking out on, but yeah. Well, and I mentioned this too. Like I'm gonna, if I'm sure I'll end up playing him. I just don't know if he'll be the main with these busted other characters running around. But
me with Azu.
Yeah, but like I'm sure I love his jab strings so much. All of them are counter hit combos. But 1, 2, 3 does a huge chunk of damage and it's completely safe. And because of those frame changes that I mentioned before, if he goes to sneak after it, it's so good. It looks so good. Yeah. So I'm just gonna like spam the shit out of that. Kind of like how
I like the way he looks.
Kind of like how Laws spam 1, 2, 3. Like I'm gonna do the same thing, but with Shaheen. So it's gonna be fun.
And actually, I guess I should segue that into you had asked me before who I was going to play, and I just mentioned Azu there as one of the Should probably be my second. I'll actually stick with a second or something. But Yoshi did, according to those trailers, get everything that I could potentially hope for. Again, received a ton of nerfs, but he got all the tools he actually needed.
All right,
like
so
his
fill us in. Yeah,
moonsault. His moonsault doesn't. It's not unblockable anymore. That was how he ended all of his combos for max damage. Yeah, and his sword sweep, it's still a launcher. And here's a case where you could consider this a nerf because it's one of those flop launchers. So if you hit them with this, he doesn't get the flop. But I did talk to some other Yoshi players, and it's actually kind of a buff also, because before you might have to settle for some kind of inconsistent combo, but now with the flop, it gives him the time to get up there. And what was your first hit going to be last time, like a down forward one? Well, no, now it can be your biggest secondary hit. So unexpected buff, right? But he lost a bunch of unblockables. He lost that one. His flash doesn't launch on normal hit anymore. It's actually a heat and it sets up a heat engager. It's plus 14, and he gets a free back 2/2 for heat dash. So it
was basically what you thought it was going to be. Like, there was the expectation that it would just be a heat engager, but it's still that, right? So
yeah, his NSS one is still apparently a launcher, which is great, but that's slower. But he got lots of these nerfs, but then he got all of these really great things. So now, like Indian stance, where he's sitting on the ground, he now has a fast attack, whereas before, you see him drop and you have no real threat to you. Now he can do the 3-4 out of the ground, and he's got this massive ground hit, which is great, and he apparently steals life whenever he hits some of these moves. So I love him.
Nice. Yeah, that'll be really cool, because I'm sure that just given the depth of his move list, that there's going to be a lot of other changes that you just can't see in a move list, right? Like if you're just watching videos, you're not going to catch that.
That's a good point too.
Yeah.
And they didn't shorten up his move list so much that he's not still this random character.
Right. Yeah, you are going to be really busy when the game releases, because he's going to take forever to figure out and like find all those little changes and figure out what's still possible and
that is true.
What's different. So
he will be Polish, so.
Oh yeah, because the move list for the person that was putting him up was in Polish. That's funny. I forgot about that. I think that was the same for the people that had the crack in putting up videos of that too, is that even though you get access to characters like Shaheen and Panda, the demo clearly, I'm sure that they were aware of this, but they didn't put everything in the demo. Like, it's just a much smaller version of the game. So when you're looking at those move lists and shit, half of the text is not there. So you're like, okay, well, there's some note on this move, but I have no idea what it is. And
again, they didn't put all the moves in those versions that people get to try. Right. Nobody got to see the Kuma Electric.
Right.
Yeah, the Fresh Wind Bear Fist.
the freshest fist of bear.
That's the official name.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed that they stuck with the fist.
Yeah. You have to. How do you not do a play on words with the fist in there? I made a declaration as soon as I saw it. Like, nobody gets to call that a bear paw or some shit like that. It's a bear fist.
Nope.
Yeah.
And they Fresh Wind Bear Fist.
Yes. And the fresh is a nice touch. I like it. It's the freshest fist out there. That's funny. Well, okay. So I know we've been chatting for a while. This is actually really good, because I feel like there's even more like specific stuff that we can go into, which since the game doesn't come out until the end of next month, we might be able to sneak in one more episode before that happens, and with stuff still to talk about, then that's good. And I'm sure we'll keep finding stuff too, because I'm curious if the demo is the last thing that we'll get. I'm wondering.
I hope it is, just to keep the hype.
Right. My only concern, and it kind of it chaps my butthole a little bit is that those people, like seemingly random people in some cases, got this access to the full game before, and so all we get to see is move lists, whereas they actually got to touch the game. That's a little annoying, but you never know. We might see some other stuff come out of that, because people have been like slowly uploading match vids from that session or whatever you want to call it. So we've been kind of slowly seeing some other stuff, but since we've been going for an hour, we've talked about so much stuff. I think that we're okay to bring it to a close. Because I am positive that we will come across more stuff if we're able to. Because I know, like, one thing, for instance, that I was going to ask you about, but we can save it for the next episode, is I know that you've been looking real close at, like, how characters sidestep and, like, what kind of things could be possible about that. Like, it seems like the bears, kind of like you would expect, have a weaker sidestep than other
hard to
characters.
make the computer do that.
Yeah. Right. Or or try to figure it out from like a match vid or something, right? So so there's that stuff, but I'm sure that we'll have more stuff that we can add on top of that.
When it comes out, I'll try to come out with, I don't know, more specific information.
Yeah. Well, and on that note too, I kind of started the episode with this, but once the game comes out, expect, since we'll actually have a full release of the game and it'll be a lot easier to record stuff, we'll have lots of stuff that we can throw up on the channel, like, I guess we can call it like a preliminary research period where just put up videos where it's like, oh, hey, here's what we found so far. Right. The guide videos will be a little bit further into the future because we just need to see how characters develop, and we all need to get comfortable with this new system and how things work. So I don't expect like the robust guide videos, but full intention on just taking crazy notes and finding everything that we possibly can, and then putting it out there. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And I think, everyone, us especially, but I think everyone's just kind of ready to have something that's brand new, where you have even characters that you think that, have just all these little changes, and just going through and experimenting and kind of just starting from scratch is going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
So I don't know. Do you have any? I do have a little ender here for the episode, but do you have anything Tekken related that you wanted to throw out there before we put a cap on that?
If my voice was good, maybe I'd death this noise or something, but no, I got nothing.
Okay, cool. Well, I mentioned this on the last episode, but I feel like it's a really good way to end these podcasts. But we'll end with like non-Tekken stuff. So if something cool is going on that is not related to Tekken at all, we'll just kind of chat about what's going on. So I do have something, but I'm going to throw it to you first. How's life been? Did you get anything cool for Christmas? Did you get what you wanted for Christmas?
Well, I didn't need much. And getting a Yoshi and Kuma trailer, probably the two trailers I was looking forward to the most, was a really good gift from Namco. But no, I just had a nice holiday. I've just been super sick and everything. Mm-hmm. The only personal note that I would throw in there is it's kind of funny that Namco decided to release the game on my anniversary. So the first day I might take a step back.
On your anniversary, like wedding anniversary?
Yeah.
Oh, the thing in May is that's her birthday.
Yeah.
Good. That's the one I always think about because you can never make it to Combo Breaker.
Right.
But okay, cool. That's cool. I just got your anniversary coming up. But the reason that I mentioned May is because so it's her birthday, but it's my anniversary is over the Memorial Day weekend. So.
So now you're done.
Yeah. No. I'm not done. I mean, I'm still going.
Okay.
I'm still going. We still go every year. Normally what we do is we just make it like a combo trip. So like she knows that I want to do the gaming stuff. So I'm there a good portion of the weekend, but we go she can go to the shops that are there, and then we go out to dinner and stuff like that. So we make it a combo weekend, and it's a lot of fun. It's been working pretty well. So, and in that
my wife
area,
knows that I want to play that day too, so she's forgiving. She'll probably let me do it early or something too. So
well, you're talking about like when the game releases. I was gonna say like that area where Combo Breaker is they have a ton of stuff like around there.
Yeah,
like,
they do.
Shops and eating places, and I think there's a zoo that's not that far or whatever. So
you're lucky that she's into all this stuff, and
yeah. The gaming not so much. Like normally what she does or what she has been doing is like in the morning or maybe late at night, I'll be over at the venue trying to the only reason really that I'm over there in the morning or afternoon is usually to play my sets, and the nighttime, like real late at night, that's when the fun happens, because people start to exit a little bit, so it's not nearly as crowded, but you have the real grinders there that are trying to play matches until 2-3 in the morning. So that's when I go over. And then anytime that I'm over at the venue, if it's real late, she might just go to bed, but she likes to walk around that area. It's a really nice walking area, or she'll just kind of hang out on the bed and just relax, and room service, whatever. But like I said, we're pretty good about going out and going either out to dinner, or like we like the museums. It's not that bad of a drive to get to downtown to Chicago from Schaumburg, so we like to go do that stuff too. So it's pretty.
They got good ones too.
Yeah, the last time we were out there, she had never been, so we went to Mitsuwa, which is right down the road from where the venue is.
Gotta love them.
Yeah, so that was fun. But yeah, hopefully you get some time when the game releases to play it a little bit. Do you guys have anything special planned? Are you going out or what?
Nothing special that has been finalized yet, but I'll try to do something early. I know that when the game comes out, she knows that Kyo is throwing a thing, and I might try to make that. So I want to go all out before then.
Yeah. I was considering trying to come up there for that. My main problem is that I'm such a nerd because when the game comes out, I really don't like playing something that I feel uncomfortable with. And when it just feels like two people are just rubbing their faces together because they have no idea what's going on, that's not super enjoyable for me. So I would like to have like at least a week just doing like practice mode and getting used to what I want to do with the character, or a character, before I start like actually grinding sets and stuff like that. So,
well, you got 4 characters to get good with.
yeah, no shit. It's probably not a bad idea to have like a pocket Paul. So maybe, cause they seem like they've kind of figured out Paul to the point where, he will never be nerfed enough that he's just not good. Like, he has the tools that he needs now to always compete. So, whereas, once upon a time it was like, maybe if you could get close enough, you could swing in those demo mans, but otherwise it was just trying to land that perfect death fist, and that was about it. Whereas now he has like better low pokes and stuff that he can mess with. So probably not a bad idea to have a pocket Paul.
You know what? And actually, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No,
there is something personal that I wanted to throw in,
yes,
and I'm sad that I didn't think about it right when you started.
Go for it.
Follow my kid's Twitch feed. He's getting into the game. He needs help. He needs people to play against when the game comes out.
Yeah, we'll
gaming.
Yeah, we'll
maybe
spam that up.
A link in.
Yes, I can definitely do that. There's not a whole. I don't, just because I know so many people like ignore it. I try not to overdo it on the amount of what I put in the YouTube description. So so there's not much in there right now. I think like the only link that I put in there currently is the Patreon link. So I can definitely throw his link in there to the Twitch channel. But
try to help him get good, and he wants to go to Evo this year with me.
Nice.
We are going to get those tickets.
Family trip
Soon.
Vegas
as soon as they
trip.
get posted.
Now, is the
That's the
wife
plan.
interested at all in that, or would you just be going with him?
All three of us are going to go. She's only going to, go to the convention for probably either the first or the third day. She's not sure. I told her that the third is the one to see.
You mean the finals day?
Yeah, because then you get to be in that big stadium too, and see it all.
Just remember, I think that they're still doing that thing where it's a completely separate ticket.
Yeah.
So even if you enter, like even if you buy the normal stuff and enter, you are a participant, you still have to buy a separate ticket.
Yeah, I broke it all down for her and everything, and she's, well, maybe I'll just see, when you and Cameron play or something.
Is she a gambling gal? Does she do any of that stuff?
She wants to see some shows. She wants to, do some other things there. She would just only casually be checking it out. She's not as interested in all of that, but the kid, I think that would be huge for him. Get him trained up, get him in a tournament, and if he gets even one win on his first go around, yes.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's what we need to do. I haven't had really much of a reason to go to Vegas in however many years now. I think the last time we went was when we went for it was the infamous Majin run, right? When he got third or whatever. That was the last time that I've been in Vegas. And the next time that we go, because you mentioned the shows, that's the one thing that we've always wanted to do that we just never have time for it anytime that we go. Because normally what we're doing is we're walking the strip and we check that out, or we go to Old Vegas. We go down there and check out Fremont Street and everything. But it's always been on my, I mean, they're getting old now, but it's been on my bucket list to see Penn and Teller. I'd love to see them live. And then just like what's the acrobatic ones? Why can't I think of the name of it?
Cirque du Soleil.
Cirque du Soleil. Thank you. That's the one. We've always wanted to see them too. I think it would be fun to see the whatever the Knights is, but I feel like it's probably just Vegas's version of medieval times, right? So I don't know if you're going to get anything new with that kind of show, but maybe I'm wrong.
Gotta go see the Sphere.
The Sphere. What is the Sphere? Why am I blanking on the Sphere?
The new Sphere. It's like a screen in the middle of downtown Vegas.
Huh.
You need to go look that up.
I will, because all I remember is like they had the canopy, or they used to. They had the canopy that ran that 2 blocks that they would show stuff on. But I guess the Sphere must be new.
Yeah, it's. I think it's only a couple of years old now, but they do some funny things with it, and you'd have to see.
Nice. Yes. Let's see.
Giant.
So I mentioned, earlier, right at the beginning of the podcast, that we finally got that house thing taken care of. That's been a thing that has kind of been a chain around my neck for several years now. Like, we've just hung on to that way longer than I wanted to. But now that that's done, I feel like I can breathe a little bit on that. So maybe this is the year that we go back to Evo and do all that stuff. But
it'd be nice to be there with you.
Yeah, we'd have. I'll take a look at it when springtime rolls around, and we'll see. We'll see what we're looking at. Because we haven't mentioned this for the audience at all, but the plan now that was the first big hurdle for us to make the move up to Minnesota. So now my focus can start to turn towards that. So having that done is like a really big deal. But it could mean that we go back to Vegas and Evo. So that would be fun.
Nice.
Cool. Anything else going on?
Nope, that's it. Sorry.
That's it. No, that was fun. I love talking about that stuff. I think people enjoy it too, because I read most of the comments that pop up on the channel. The only ones that I sometimes don't catch are the ones where people are making comments on really old videos. Because the YouTube notification system is just ass. So if I just kind of a general disclaimer for anyone out there. If you make a comment on an old video and I don't see it or don't respond, thumbs it up, whatever, it's not because I'm ignoring it. It's probably because YouTube didn't send me the notification, because it's just really bad at that. But when I was looking at the comments for the last episode, it was kind of funny because I think there was at least one, but there might have been a couple of comments of people who were like, "Oh, you guys are the guys that did the old Tekken 6 one." Like, I didn't even make that connection. It was pretty funny. So, but I think people like the more casual, nature of the podcast. Like I said, if we can get guests,
I just interrupted you.
Yeah, I know exactly. It's not a big deal. And like I said, if we can get guests on where it makes sense and it'll be fun and all that, we will do that. But it's just one of those things where we can't structure it that way, so it's not gonna be nearly as rigorous or scheduled, so to speak, as it was once upon a time. But that said, so the one thing that I wanted to mention before we ended is, as far as like the personal note, is my non-Tekken gaming streak continues to run. So after, like, almost immediately after we put up the last episode, Humble Bundle dropped a bundle that had a bunch of, it was specifically geared towards deck building games. So for anyone who's played like Slay the Spire, I love that game. And I also like roguelikes as well. And it was just a bundle of those types of games. Excuse me. So I like all of a sudden had like 5 or 6 new games to play. And I've gotten through a couple of them because they're not like really big games. They're like indie games. Mm-hmm. You just do runs. So I've played enough of them that I've like, okay, I like this, but I'm done with it. But I still have like a few on the back burner, kind of saved on my list that I'll have to return to at some point. But the Steam sale, winter sales just killed me because I picked up this Souls-like game that I've been looking at for a while called Wolong. It's made by the same team that makes Neo. So for anybody who's played Neo or Neo 2, it's a Souls-like game, but it's like they have their own like twist on that system. So, but this is like the plot line is like ancient China instead of Japanese, which is the Neo games. But I've been looking at that, and I just started it. I'm not too far into it, but so far enjoying it. I'm not a real, I'm not like an avid Dark Souls person, but I do enjoy those types of games. They're fine. But I've been looking at that for a while, so I picked that up because it was on a heavy discount. There's another Souls-like game that I haven't played or started it yet, but I will eventually, called Lies of P. And this is one that not only has it been getting like good reviews and stuff, but it comes recommended from some friends of ours. So it's apparently the gameplay is Dark Souls, but it's I guess the story and everything is like based. It's like a dark version of Pinocchio. Like
mixed with anime.
Yeah. So it's like Lies of P is I guess the P literally stands for Pinocchio. So it's like got all those characters and stuff in it. So I'm excited to play that. And then also, I don't expect it to go on a heavy sale, but it was on a little bit of a sale. But Baldur's Gate, I picked up that because I know that I'm going to want to play that. And it, it's been getting nonstop glowing reviews, and it's winning all these rewards. And just watching the videos of it, I love those kinds of RPG type games. So, I'm okay with paying more or less full price for it because they seem to be a development company that's like you can get behind. Like they have a passion for the game. They made it the right way. They've been pretty clear about no plans for DLC. Like they made the game how it was. That's how it was designed. That's
you gotta
what you're
support
getting.
it.
Yeah, and it seems to be a massive game too, right? So like, I'm actually saving that one for last because I feel like I'm just going to dump hundreds of hours into it. So I want to get all these other games that will not take me that long done first, and then I can just focus on that.
Right.
Tekken will eventually throw a wrench into the whole plans because as soon as that releases, I'm going to dump tons of hours into that. But
Your list will just pile up.
Yeah, it'll just pile up. But that's not a bad thing, because then when I get into that drought, I have stuff to go back to, right? Which is funny too, because the other thing that I got was actually my birthday present. So my birthday is exactly a week before Christmas, and I only got
Happy
one.
Belated.
Yeah, well, thank you. I only got one gift. It was kind of a what do you want to call it? Like, my family and my wife's family just kind of all chipped in, and I finally got a PS5, so that's what they got me. I guess technically I got two things, because they got me that, and then pretty much the only game that I care to play on PS5 is the new God of War, so they got me that as well. So that's another game to add to the list. But it was pretty, that whole thing was pretty funny, because what they got me was the Call of Duty bundle, and after my first initial reaction of ew, Call of Duty, my next thought was like, well, it's not, I'll just go exchange it or whatever for one of the other bundles. Or worst case, I'll just exchange it for just a regular PS5, no bundle. And then whatever is left over, maybe I use to buy Tekken or something for the PS5. But you obviously know the end of the story, but when I went to exchange it, I was like, okay, here's the gift receipt. I just don't want this bundle. I just want a different bundle or whatever. And they didn't have any other bundles that had games.
Aww.
And the guy was like, I'm really sorry, but even if you exchange this for a regular PS5, no bundle, there's not anything extra, because he just straight up told me, he's like, this Call of Duty bundle has been selling like shit. So when they bought it for you, it was actually on sale for the same price as a regular PS5. So I was like, oh, nice. Cool. Of course. So, yeah, I know. So it all worked out in the end, because, your kiddo plays Call of Duty, or I guess he got it for Christmas or whatever, but none of his friends had it. So I just gave you guys the code, and, hopefully he can pair up with his friends now for it. But
appreciate that.
But it was just really funny to me. I was like, yeah, Call of Duty would be like that, wouldn't it? Where nobody wants that pile of garbage. But
it's so funny how it dominated for so long, though.
Yeah. Well, it's just gotten old, right? Like, everyone's moved on to like the Fortnite battle arena format. And even though Call of Duty has tried to replicate that, other games were just there first. So that's what people think of when they want to go play that stuff. So, excuse me. But yeah, I have so many games to play. And then Tekken's just going to put everything on pause as soon as that comes out. So,
right.
So hopefully, 2024 looking like a good year for gaming. That said, that's all I had. So, before we wrap this up, any last words? This one is long. Somehow we went longer than the introduction,
right?
Which is cool. But I told people this last time, but I know this little ender segment kind of takes up a little bit of time, but even though this is casual, there's going to be so much in the weeds stuff that we can talk about with Tekken that we could take up hours and hours and hours. So, so this is more typical of, like, I think the episodes that you guys can expect going forward, where we're just kind of chatting about the new tech and all that stuff that we found. But yeah, sorry, I asked you a question and then I went off on a rant. Yeah, anything, any last words or anything you want to put out there?
No extras. I just think it's funny, like, every time I look at my phone, I've got, like, my ear must be moving different places. I feel like such a boomer. I'm in, like, a different Discord, or suddenly I've pulled up, a social media.
Right.
My ear is getting carried away here.
Oh yeah, dude, you gotta switch to gotta get a laptop or something and get the headset game going. Makes it way easier. Cool. Well, then I think that we will call it a day for this. So we got lucky. Like I said, we're sneaking in right before the new year. So hopefully everyone has a good new year. Obviously, if you're going to be out drinking or whatever, drive safe, do the Uber thing. But I hope everyone has a has a good new year. Obviously, as always, thanks again to all the patrons. I feel really bad that we haven't had a lot of content, only because we're in that weird time period. But thanks again to all you guys for supporting. And if you're not a patron, we're going to be having so much content coming out when Tekken 8 releases that please consider it, because it'll help us keep pumping out stuff, and then we'll have new stuff for patrons that at the very least they'll get it first. So something to consider. But for those who already are patrons, thank you guys so much. And then thank you everyone else for just watching, listening, whatever you're doing to support. We appreciate it. Trying to be one of those old boomer channels that still gives you the stuff that you need rather than reaction videos. Although be on the lookout for our costume reaction videos. we'll do those.
Thanks, Joan.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we will call it an end. Thanks again, everyone, for listening. Again, Happy New Year's, and then we will do our best to try to sneak one more episode in January before Tekken 8 releases. But if we can't, be on that Tekken 8. I hope you guys have a lot of fun with it, because I know that we will. So, we will see you. Hopefully January, but next time either way. So have a good one, guys.